might mean a minor fine. 500 years ago, it meant facing a monarch with absolute power and a grim imagination. We tend to celebrate human engineering for building bridges and curing diseases, but for most of our history, our sharpest minds were also tasked with engineering the most efficient ways to inflict physical suffering. Take a metalsmith in ancient Greece named Perillos. To impress his king, he designed a device known as the brazen bull. The design is terrifyingly simple. It is a hollow brass statue. A person is locked inside the chamber, and a fire is lit underneath, slowly turning the metal belly into a searing oven. Perillos also added a dark acoustic upgrade. He installed a complex series of pipes in the bull's snout. As the person inside screamed in agony, these pipes altered the acoustics, projecting the sound outward as a melodic, animal-like bellow to entertain the king's guests. When Perillos presented his masterpiece, the king asked for a demonstration. The moment the inventor stepped inside to show how the acoustics worked, the king locked the door and lit the fire. From the earliest recorded empires, technological progress carried this exact shadow. Whenever a society figured out how to cast bronze or engineer acoustics, they immediately applied those breakthroughs to human suffering. Before gears and pulleys became common, executioners looked to the natural world to do their work. The Persian Empire developed a method called scaphism. A person is trapped tightly between two wooden boats, with only their head, hands, and feet protruding. They are then force-fed large quantities of milk and honey. The rich diet rapidly triggers severe gastrointestinal distress. The resulting waste, combined with honey smeared on their exposed skin, attracts local insects. Over the next 15 to 20 days, those insects slowly consume the trapped person alive. In parts of Asia, executioners relied on botany. Bamboo is one of the fastest-growing plants on Earth, capable of shooting up 3 feet in a single day. A person is tied down tightly, suspended horizontally right above one of these newly cut shoots. The tip of the young shoot is highly rigid. Hour by hour, it forces its way through the victim's skin, gradually growing entirely through the human torso until it emerges on the other side. These early methods required very little infrastructure. They relied on a dark collaboration with biology, weaponizing the slow, inevitable march of time and nature. By the Middle Ages, the reliance on nature gave way to controlled, indoor environments. Torture became a mechanical discipline. The Iron Maiden looks like a heavy metal coffin, but its interior features a highly specific layout of iron spikes. Those spikes are mathematically spaced. When the heavy doors close, they are measured to intentionally bypass a heart, lungs, and major arteries. The person inside is impaled, but their vital organs remain intact, ensuring they bleed out slowly over hours rather than dying instantly. Devices like the rack were built to systematically dismantle the human skeletal system. As the levers turn and the ropes pull in opposite directions, the tension triggers a predictable sequence of structural failures. First, the major joints pop out of their sockets. Next, the long bones snap under the strain. Finally, the muscle fibers themselves tear completely apart. For public executions, mechanical violence was put on display with the breaking wheel. The person is lashed to the spokes of a heavy wooden wheel. The executioner then steps up with a heavy hammer, methodically striking the gaps between the spokes to crush every single bone into fragments, until the limbs are virtually rubber. The peak of this physical deconstruction was practiced in China with Ling Chi. An executioner would carefully make up to 1,000 minor incisions, removing small pieces of tissue while expertly navigating around fatal arteries to keep the person conscious for as long as possible. In this era, the human body was treated as nothing more than a biological machine, and medieval engineers figured out exactly how to reverse engineer it to maximize physical agony. Modern human rights laws eventually made these physical chambers illegal, but the innate desire to punish did not disappear. It just found a new target: the human mind. The pinnacle of modern, sterilized cruelty is white room torture. A prisoner is placed in a cell where absolutely everything, the walls, the floor, their uniform, and even their meals of plain white rice, is completely white. Heavy soundproofing eliminates external noise. When external stimuli are removed, the brain begins to generate its own input to compensate. At the 72-hour mark, Auditory and visual hallucinations spike exponentially, effectively dissolving the person's sense of self. This shift reflects a refinement in the philosophy of cruelty. While ancient rulers destroyed the body to make a public point, modern systems often focus on social and psychological erasure, removing an individual from the fabric of reality without ever touching them. We see the biological roots of this in how our brains process extreme social isolation. Coordinated total rejection by a community triggers the same neural stress pathways as physical assault. In a digital age, the threat of social death exploits these ancient survival mechanisms to achieve the same goal as the quietest torture chambers: the destruction of the individual's identity. The history of these devices suggests that human cruelty is a constant, evolving alongside our capacity to engineer our environment. We have moved from the blunt force of the crushing wheel to the surgical application of silence and exclusion.